Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ellen. In today's video, I want to discuss the series that I want to complete this year, the series that I want to start this year. So there are several series that I currently own, but they didn't make this list just because I'm not exactly sure if I will even get to them this year. So these are the ones that at this moment, these are the most highest priorities books that I want to start and finish this year, as well as finish the series that I've already started. So I wanted to do this video because I want to hold myself accountable. I'm always talking about how I want to finish series and I want to read this book and read this book, but being a mood reader, it can be really difficult to hold myself accountable and actually finish out series. I love series, and honestly, the reason why I don't finish trilogies or quartets or any length of series quickly is just because I just don't want them to end, to be honest. I don't want the world to end. I don't like when everything gets wrapped up and then I don't get any more of those characters. But I need to just get over that fear and just enjoy the ride. So I am not including books that are not being completed this year. In terms of series I want to complete this year, I'm not putting unfinished ones. There's obviously some books that I want to read that are part of a series, but all of the books aren't out yet in that series, so I'm not including those books. I forget because I've forgotten my last two newish videos. I made a new Instagram account, and the reason I did this is because instead of just only book related, which I wasn't really liking the way my other book Instagram was working, I want to incorporate other aspects of my life into this Instagram account, but I'm not putting my child or my husband on it. It's more like stuff that I'm doing, as well as bookish related content. So I'm going to be putting a lot of things related to my booktube channel and books that I'm currently reading, but I also just want to share what I'm cooking. I don't think I've ever shared with you guys that cooking and baking is becoming actually a really big hobby of mine that I'm really enjoying, and I am slowly working my way through just one cookbook. It is a website designed by this Japanese lady named Namiko, and she has this amazing website dedicated to teach people how to make authentic Japanese food and desserts. And let me just say, with having a Japanese husband and a Japanese mom, these are very authentic recipes. I made chikuzeni, which is a bunch of vegetable kind of soup thing, for my husband. It's one of his favorites, and he said it tasted exactly like he remembered it. At this point, he didn't have it for 5 years. So I highly recommend you guys check out Just One Cookbook if you want to learn how to make authentic Japanese recipes. I will leave Just One Cookbook's website down below in the description box. I know that's really random, but I like posting food-related content on my Instagram as well. So I would love it if you guys would check it out, give me a follow, and if you have your own bookish Instagram account, I would love to follow you back, and I would love to support you. So in terms of books or series that I want to finish this year, the first one is The Girl in 6E by A.R. Torr. This is part of the Deanna Madden series. I read the first 2 books. I actually read the second one recently, and I just have the third and final book to complete, and I do plan on reading that soon. Deanna Madden, oh my gosh, these books are so messed up, but they are amazing. Just Deanna as a character, she is a 22-year-old woman who has stayed in her apartment without leaving at all for 3 years. She orders everything online that she could possibly need. And in order to sustain her lifestyle, she becomes a cam girl. And so she has very extensive equipment. She has all sorts of clients. And you're kind of wondering, why is she locking herself up in her apartment, and why is she doing camming of all things? Well, the first reason is because she has murdery tendencies and thoughts. She has fantasies about killing people. And in order to prevent herself from fulfilling those fantasies, she knew she had to sequester herself from the outside world. And in order to make an income without a college degree, and without leaving her apartment, of course, she decides to do camming, because that is the most lucrative business that she could think of, to where she can make a ton of money and take care of herself without setting foot outside of her apartment. These books are really great if you love very, very, very morally gray characters. There's a lot of messed up people in this book, and you get details of what camming is like and the kind of clients that Deanna has. I think I read in her acknowledgments that she actually interviewed actual cam girls so she could write this book as authentically as possible. So you get all the nitty-gritty details of what that is like. So these books are not for the faint of heart, but they are so gripping and captivating, and Deanna is just a likable, unlikable person. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't get enough. And I'm really looking forward to finishing out this trilogy with the third book, hopefully soon, maybe even this month. The next book that I have that I really need to finish is the Devabog series by S.A. Chakraborty. So I read City of Brass and I loved it. I loved it so much that I gifted one of my best friends, Sylvia, this book, because I was like, Sylvia, you have to read this. Like, that is so good. And then she read it and she said it was amazing. And then guess what happened? I did not pick up the second or the third book, even though I own them. You can't really see them right now, but they're there. Why am I waiting? Like, this book focuses on Nari? Nari, yes. This book focuses on Nari and Dara. Nari is a woman who has just been surviving in Cairo, and she's just doing kind of what it takes to survive, and she ends up meeting this djinn named Dara. Dara takes her to Devabog, where he is originally from as well, and there's just all sorts of politics, and the magic system is amazing. The characters are complex, and you're not exactly sure who to root for, and everything is just, the world is just so beautiful. And I guess the reason why I'm hesitant on picking up the second one is because I know that there is a little bit of a time jump, and Nari is in kind of a sticky situation at the beginning of the second one. I did read like the first 70 pages of the second one, and then I was like, I'm not ready for this yet. So I put it down, but I do really want to finish this out this year. My parents actually gifted me the trilogy a year or two ago, and so I really want to finish this out. Like, this series, I just love it. I just love learning about the Middle East and like the magic system, and just the world that this author paints is just beautiful. So this is another series that I want to finish this year. Hold me accountable. The last one that I have is The Wolf of Oranjaro by K.S. Veloso. I read this book at the end of last year, and I really liked this one. I know Elliot from Elliot Brooks really liked it, and this is why I picked it up, because she was saying all sorts of cool things about it. And I do agree that this book is really great. And again, this one is fantasy, there's politics, there's morally gray characters, there's people you can't trust, betrayal, and you know, I love that the main character is not just a young 20-something person. She is a queen. She was a wife. She has a son. And I just love that. I love that we have someone that actually has a child and is married in this. Like, I feel like a lot of characters are usually single, and the romance is usually about finding somebody. No, she's trying to figure out what the heck happened to her husband? Why has he been gone all these years? And then you're slowly starting to unravel the past on what happened to her husband, and the clans that she's in charge of are slowly breaking away. There's a lot of political strife going on, and I'm really excited about finishing the second and the third books this year. So again, another book series that I enjoyed from the start, and I just need to finish the second and the third books. So these three are the series that I've started and want to complete that I own, and they're all out right now. So these are the three that I want to finish this year. In terms of series that I want to start this year, I'm first going to start with Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. Originally, I was going to read this book last year, towards the end of last year, and I didn't get to it. I did read Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson, and that was my first Sanderson book that I've ever read, and I really liked it. And I know at some point there is going to be a second book out, and I'm really excited for that. And I know Leslie from the Nerdy Narrative is planning on doing another reread of Mistborn, if I'm not mistaken. I will link Leslie's channel down below. But I really want to read this alongside with Leslie, so that way I'm sure she'll have like a Discord, or I'm assuming Leslie, yeah, Discord. So we can chat about it at the same time, because again, this will be my first time reading Mistborn. I feel like everybody loves Mistborn. I feel like everybody loves the Stormlight Archives, and I really need to get through these before I can go to the Stormlight Archive. And I'm just really excited to buddy read this with my booktube friends, and I don't really know too much about this, to be honest with you. I know that there's magic, I know that the bad guy won, and now someone else is gonna try to overthrow this horrible person. That's all I really know, and that's all I really need to know. But if this book is at least as good as Warbreaker, then I'm not gonna be disappointed. The next book series I wanted to start is Jade City by Fonda Lee. I feel like I'm really late to the game on reading this book. I feel like at this point many people have read it, and I have heard some mixed things about this book. I know Elliot was kind of so-so from Elliot Brooks. I know she was kind of so-so about this book, but I feel like a lot of other people really enjoyed it. So I'm kind of interested to see where I fall on the spectrum. I'm also happy that it is an Asian-inspired fantasy. I feel like there's not a ton of Asian-inspired fantasy out there in terms of other genres. I know that there are some popular Asian-inspired fantasy books that are out there. I've heard about the Sword of Kaigen and Shadow of the Fox, but okay, you guys, can I just say an unpopular opinion right now? I hated Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. I'm not trying to be rude. Like, I don't want to say the word hate, but I deeply loathed that book. I am half Japanese, and I'm not claiming to be an expert on Japan or whatnot, but I deeply love Japanese folklore. I deeply love Japanese history. I studied a lot about the Sengoku period and samurais, ninjas, all that. And the way that the dialogue was written and the way that people interacted with the main characters in that book, I just felt like was not realistic at all. But anyway, that's a whole other topic. But I was really disappointed with Shadow of the Fox. So when people keep saying, oh, for Japanese inspired fantasy, read this book, I'm just like, I personally wouldn't recommend it. But anyway, I'm gonna give at least the Asian fantasy another try. It doesn't need to be Japanese inspired fantasy for me to be excited about it. But I've heard so many good things about this one, and with it being an Asian inspired fantasy, it makes me even more excited to pick this up. And this book was gifted to me by my other best friend, Sarah. So thank you, Sarah, for this one. And if I really do enjoy this one, then I definitely want to pick up the second and the final book later, and hopefully at least start this series this year. The next book that I want to start this year, series, is The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. Leslie from the Nerdy Narrative just absolutely loved these books, and she's just been plowing through everything that this author has written. And she just, for the most part, has nothing but good things to say about this author and this world. And I'm like, okay, first law, I guess I really need to read this. And I have all 3 books, so I'm adding this to the list. And I I don't know anything about this book. I just heard it's a grimdark fantasy. And I'm like, all right, I like dark books. Let's do this thing. I'm really excited for it. And I can't wait to discuss this book with Leslie once I finally get started on it and finish it. And I hope I love it. Because if I don't, that will not be a fun conversation to have with my friend. The last book that I want to start this year is Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. This book has like, what, 8 or 9 books so far in this series? It's turned into a show, right? Hulu, Netflix, Amazon, I don't know. But I heard that this is a really great sci-fi fantasy book, and when people say space opera, I literally don't know what that means. Like, I've only read like 1 or 2 sci-fi books in my life. Probably only one, and that was Ender's Game. Otherwise, I'm like completely in the dark on sci-fi, and I'm like, I need to change that. Seriously, it's an issue. So I heard that this book was really amazing. I heard there's action and there's a little bit of a mystery with it. Again, that's all I really know. As long as there's action and some mystery, then I feel like I'm really going to be interested, because I do like the mystery genre and I love all kinds of action. So I'm kind of happy that this is a longer book series, because with trilogies, I feel like it's really hard for me to start them, because when I start it, I already feel like it's kind of ending, if that makes sense. So it's harder for me to finish trilogies. But since I have so many books to look forward to, I really feel like if I really like this one, then I'll be more eager to continue with the second, third, fourth, and so on. And please, in the comments down below, can you explain to me what's the difference between sci-fi and space opera, and like what other kind of stuff is there in this genre that I just don't understand? Like, can someone please educate me or direct me to someone's YouTube video that explains this, because I don't know. And I don't like being ignorant. So if you could let me know, I would appreciate it a lot. So that is it, guys. That is all that I have for you for today. The series that I want to finish this year, the series I want to start this year, and maybe if I'm optimistic, maybe I can finish some of the ones that I start this year. Thank you again so much for watching. So that is all that I have for you guys today. I will link my new Instagram account down below. It is Ellens_hafu_life. Hafu, because I'm half Japanese, and just all my adventures day to day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.